In the endless currents of modern life, we often find ourselves holding on too tightly. But in the quiet whispers of the gentle breeze, an ancient truth waits to be found. Welcome back to Zen Archives Global. Today, we do not just listen to a story. We embark on a journey inward. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let the timeless lessons of the East guide you back to the stillness within. Peace is not a destination. It is the path we walk together. Have you ever felt the weight of your own thoughts, like a heavy cloak you cannot remove? In our quest for knowledge and understanding, we gather opinions, beliefs, and certainties. We build walls of logic around our hearts, believing they will protect us. Yet, sometimes, these very walls become our prison. The most challenging art to master in this life is not the art of acquiring more, but the art of letting go. It is the gentle release of what we think we know, to make space for what can be known. This is a story about that art. A story of a cup that had to overflow before it could be truly filled. Our story takes us to a time of great change in Japan, the Meiji era, a period when the old world was meeting the new. In a bustling university in Tokyo, there lived a professor, a man celebrated for his vast knowledge of philosophy and religion. His mind was a library, filled with countless books and complex theories. He had studied every major school of thought, debated the greatest minds of his time, and his office shelves groaned under the weight of his achievements. Yet, for all his learning, a quiet emptiness echoed within him. He had heard whispers of Zen, of a wisdom that could not be captured in books, a peace that could not be won through argument. Driven by a mixture of academic curiosity and a deep, unspoken longing, he decided to seek out a true master. His journey led him far from the city's noise, to a small, humble temple nestled among rolling hills. Here lived Nonin, a Zen master whose reputation was not built on scholarly papers but on the profound simplicity of his presence. Nonin was a man who moved with the grace of flowing water and spoke with the stillness of a deep forest. He was not old in years, but his eyes held the wisdom of ancient mountains. When the professor arrived, he found the master tending to his small garden. There was no grand ceremony, no display of importance. There was only a calm, humble man, in harmony with the earth around him. The professor, accustomed to formal introductions and intellectual posturing, felt a flicker of impatience, a subtle judgment that this simple man could teach him anything of value. The professor, with his formal robes and air of self-importance, was invited inside for tea. As they sat on the tatami mats, a gentle silence filled the small room, broken only by the sound of water being heated. The professor, unable to bear the quiet, began to speak. He did not come with an empty mind, ready to learn. He came with a full mind, ready to display. He spoke of his extensive research into Zen, quoting ancient texts and dissecting complex doctrine. He talked about enlightenment, emptiness, and the nature of reality, his voice filling every corner of the room. He asked Nonin to explain the heart of Zen, but before the master could utter a single word, the professor would interrupt, offering his own interpretations, his own conclusions, his own critiques. He was not asking a question, he was delivering a lecture. Nonin listened, his face as calm and unreadable as a placid lake. He did not argue. He did not correct. He simply listened, his gaze steady and compassionate. While the professor's river of words flowed on, the master quietly began the tea ceremony. He took a simple, earthen cup and placed it before his guest. He lifted the iron teapot, its surface dark and weathered. A thin stream of fragrant, amber tea began to pour into the professor's cup. The professor, momentarily distracted from his own monologue, watched as the liquid rose. It reached the halfway point, then the three-quarter mark, and then it reached the very brim of the cup. The liquid shimmered at the edge, a perfect, taut surface, and then Nonin kept pouring. The stream of hot tea did not stop. It flowed over the rim of the cup, spilling onto the delicate saucer, creating a small, brown pool. The professor watched, his brow furrowed in confusion. The saucer, too, began to fill. Still, the master poured. The tea continued its journey, cascading over the edge of the saucer and onto the wooden tray below. It spread across the polished wood, a warm, spreading stain. The professor's words finally caught in his throat. His intellectual performance came to an abrupt halt. He could no longer ignore the quiet, deliberate absurdity of the master's action. Finally, as the tea began to drip from the tray onto the clean floor, the professor could contain himself no longer. He leaped to his feet, his voice sharp with alarm and frustration. "Stop! It is over, fool. No more will go in." He pointed at the overflowing mess, his composure completely shattered. The quiet room was suddenly charged with his outburst, his ego laid bare by a simple, silent act. The sound of the pouring finally ceased. Nanin placed the teapot down gently, his movements as unhurried as before. The only sound was the soft drip, drip, drip of the spilled tea. Nanin looked up at the agitated professor, his gaze not of judgment, but of profound, gentle understanding. He gestured towards the overflowing cup. In a voice as calm as the morning mist, he said, "Like this cup, you are full of your own opinions and speculations. You come and ask me to teach you of Zen, but how can I show you, unless you first empty your cup?" The words, simple and direct, landed with the force of a mountain falling. The professor stood frozen, the heat of his anger replaced by a sudden, chilling clarity. In that moment, he saw himself not as the learned scholar, but as the overfull cup, incapable of receiving anything new. His vast knowledge, the very thing he was so proud of, had become his greatest barrier. This ancient story is a mirror for our own lives. How often do we approach a new experience, a new relationship, or a new day with a cup that is already full? We are filled to the brim with our prejudices, our past hurts, our expectations, and our unshakable beliefs about how things should be. We long for peace, for connection, for wisdom, yet we leave no space to receive it. We cannot see the world as it is, because we are too busy seeing it through the filter of our own full cup. To truly learn, to truly grow, to truly find peace, we must first have the courage to let go. We must be willing to empty our minds of the clutter that no longer serves us. Letting go is not an act of ignorance. It is an act of profound wisdom. It is acknowledging that the wind cannot fill a sail that is already taut and rigid. It is understanding that a river cannot flow into a vessel that is already sealed shut. The first step on the path to inner peace is not to add more, but to release. Release the need to be right. Release the judgments you hold against yourself and others. Release the stories of the past that you play on a loop in your mind. Empty your cup so that the universe, in its infinite generosity, can fill it with something new, something true, something alive. In the quiet that follows, let this lesson settle within you. Peace is not found in the accumulation of knowledge, but in the spaciousness of an open mind. It is not a destination we must fight to reach, but the very ground beneath our feet, waiting for us to notice it. It is the path we walk together, one empty, open step at a time. In the shifting landscapes of our lives, the winds of change often leave behind echoes of yesterday, but in the quiet stillness of the present moment, a deeper truth awaits to be found. Quiet your thoughts, breathe in the air of now, and let the ancient wisdom of the East guide you toward inner freedom. Peace is not an absence of storms. It is the calm found within them. Another aspect of letting go, as vital as the air we breathe, is releasing the heavy weight of the past. Imagine two monks, their names were Tanzan and Akido, making their way along a winding country road. A heavy rain had fallen for hours, turning the earth into a sea of thick, brown mud. The sky was a canvas of gray, and the air was filled with the steady rhythm of raindrops drumming against their wide hats. They walked in silence, a practice common to their order, each step a mindful connection to the earth beneath them, each breath a quiet prayer. Tanzan, the elder monk, walked with a light and easy spirit, his eyes observing the world with a gentle curiosity. Akido, his younger companion, was more rigid in his ways, his mind a fortress built upon the strict rules of their discipline. The path ahead was a mirror of life itself, unpredictable, messy, and demanding of their full attention. As they rounded a bend, they came upon a beautiful young woman standing at the edge of a particularly treacherous patch of mud. She was dressed in a fine silk kimono, its vibrant colors a stark contrast to the dreary, monochrome landscape. Her face was etched with worry, her delicate sandals unsuitable for the deep, grasping mud that blocked her path. She wanted to cross, but to do so would mean soiling her exquisite garments, and perhaps even falling into the mire. She stood there, a perfect image of grace, trapped by circumstance, looking back and forth with an expression of helpless frustration. The monks paused. According to the strict precepts they followed, they were forbidden from touching or even getting close to women, especially in public. It was a rule designed to keep their minds pure and free from worldly distractions. Aikido, seeing the situation, immediately looked away. In his mind, the rules were absolute, like the unyielding granite of a mountain. They must simply continue on their way, leaving the girl to her own devices. He expected Tenzin to do the same, but Tenzin did not move. He looked at the girl, then at the impassable mud, and a warm smile touched his lips. Without a single word, he walked over to her. He bowed slightly, and before she could protest, he scooped her up into his arms. He held her with a steady and respectful strength, his movements fluid and natural, like a river flowing around a stone. He carried her across the treacherous stretch of mud, his own feet sinking deep into the cold, wet earth. On the other side, he gently set her down on solid ground. The girl, her eyes wide with surprise and gratitude, bowed deeply to Tenzin. "Thank you, venerable sir," she whispered, her voice like the chime of a small bell. Tenzin simply nodded in return, his smile never wavering, and then turned to continue his journey. Aikido was speechless. He watched the entire scene unfold with a growing sense of disbelief and outrage. His mind was a tempest. He could not believe what his master had just done. It was a flagrant violation of their most sacred vows. He wanted to shout, to demand an explanation, but the rule of silence on their journey held his tongue. He fell into step behind Tenzin, his heart pounding with indignation. The silence that had once been peaceful now felt heavy and suffocating. For the rest of the afternoon, as they walked 4 miles and miles, Aikido's mind was anything but silent. He replayed the incident over and over again. He imagined the feel of the silk, the warmth of the woman's body, the scandalous nature of the act. He crafted arguments in his head, rehearsed his accusations, and judged his master harshly. With every step, the weight of his anger and confusion grew heavier, a storm brewing within the confines of his mind. Tenzin, in contrast, continued to walk with the same serene and untroubled grace as before, occasionally pointing out a blooming flower or the shape of a distant cloud. They finally reached their destination, a small temple where they were to spend the night. Hours had passed. The rain had stopped, and the evening stars were beginning to emerge from behind the clouds. After they had washed and eaten their simple meal, the time for silence was over. Aikido could not contain himself a moment longer. His face was a mask of controlled fury. He turned to his master, his voice tight and trembling with accusation. "We are monks," he began, the words tumbling out in a rush. "We are not supposed to go near women. It is a fundamental rule of our order, meant to protect us from desire and attachment." "Why did you do that? Why did you touch that woman on the road? You broke your vows." He stood there, righteous and expectant, fully prepared for a confrontation. Tenzin looked at his younger companion. His gaze was not one of defense or anger, but of profound, gently compassion. There was no trace of guilt in his eyes, only a calm and loving clarity. He listened patiently until Aikido had finished his tirade. A long moment of silence passed, filled only by the chirping of crickets outside. Then Tenzin spoke, his voice as soft and clear as the sound of a temple bell. "Ah," he said, a faint smile on his lips. "The girl you are talking about. I left her there on the muddy road hours ago." He paused, letting his words sink in, before asking a simple, penetrating question. "Why are you still carrying her? The girl on the road is not just a girl. She is a metaphor for the past. She represents our hurts, our resentments, our mistakes, and our regrets." Tenzin physically carried her for a moment to help her, an act of pure compassion in the present. Once the act was complete, he put her down and walked away, his mind as free and unburdened as it was before. Aikido, however, did not touch the girl at all, yet he carried her in his mind for hours, 4 miles. He allowed the memory of the event to become a heavy, toxic burden. He clung to his judgment and his anger, letting it poison his peace and cloud his spirit. We are often like Aikido. An event happens, an argument, a failure, a moment of pain. Long after the moment has passed, we continue to carry it. We replayed the scenes in our minds, nurse the grievances, and water the seeds of resentment. We build prisons of memory and lock ourselves inside. True peace, the story teaches us, does not come from avoiding difficult situations, but from knowing how to put them down once they are over. It is the art of leaving the past where it belongs. In the past, in the stories of the cup and the monks, we find a single, flowing truth. We must release what we think we know to make room for what is. We must release what has been to fully embrace what is now. Let this wisdom settle in your heart, not as a command, but as a gentle invitation. Empty your mind like the cup, and drop your burdens like the monk. In the space that remains, you will find not an emptiness, but a fullness of peace you have always carried within. Thank you for walking this path with us. If this message resonated with you, consider subscribing to Zen Archives Global and share this moment of stillness with others who may be carrying a heavy load. Until we meet again, may you walk lightly.